7 Days to Die had a controversial update for 2.0. It fell to 45% positive, otherwise known as 55% negative, on Steam for a couple of weeks. Now we have Blood Moons coming out in a few days as of making this video, which seems to be a largely negative reaction so far. So to say 7 Days to Die isn't in the best state right now would probably be accurate. So have the devs listened? Are they going to be making 3.0 the best update ever? Well, let's go over everything confirmed as well as some assumed features coming. But first, let's talk about the biggest elephant in 7 Days to Die's room right now. Bandits. Bandits are a feature that have been in the next update since like Alpha 19 at least, which has been like 5 years now. We know that according to this roadmap, which has been accurate at least content-wise so far, of course the dates are completely wrong, bandits are slated for 3.0. And that is the next major update for 7 Days to Die. Then, we know after 2.0 dropped that bandits were effectively delayed again, and that of course was our fault for that happening again.
We are effectively delaying bandits, just so you know.
But we don't know anything more than that, unfortunately. Despite all the talk about various features for 3.0 so far, it has been complete radio silence about bandits since the incident back in July. That, in my opinion, is not fantastic when players have been clamoring for more transparency and accountability from the devs on the bandit issue. But the devs haven't been completely radio silent on 3.0 overall, at least. In fact, they have been much more communicative with us since the beginning of the update cycle, if you would like to call it that. So with this one sour note out of the way, that core promised eternally delayed feature still has no updates in the past few months. Let's take a look at the other things they have confirmed, which in all honesty do to me indicate that the Fun Pimps are listening to a large part of their player base. The first feature that has been the mascot of things people wanted to come back to the game is jars. Jars are absolutely confirmed as seen from Joel Huning's Reddit account here. You can see they've updated the jar model to be more in line with the recent jar updates, and we know that he is not happy with the original iteration of the jar mechanics, and we know that the devs have come to some kind of balance that they are now happy with to add the jars back into the game. Other than that though, we don't know precisely what those changes are going to be. This is a change that a lot of long-term 7 Days to Die fans have been asking for since they were arguably needlessly removed in Alpha 21. It was largely unnecessary, nobody really asked for them to be removed, and this doesn't really make up for all the wasted development time they spent on taking the jars out and reworking the game around that and now having to put them back in. You know, that's a lot of wasted time, but you can't say that they're not at least listening to the things that a lot of the players want back in the game. Another surprise returning feature is actually the smell mechanic. This one I really wasn't expecting. I knew some people wanted it back, but it wasn't really on my radar, so I wasn't paying attention to like, was this something loads of people were asking for that I just didn't notice? For those that don't know, 7 Days to Die used to have a smell feature where zombies would be attracted to you if you carried meat around with you. That's really all the mechanic was. It was kind of just a tension building mechanic for when you would come back from hunting trips and stuff, and to encourage you to use the non-meat foods for when you're going out and surviving. So there'll be more of a need for like pumpkin bread and things like that because you don't want to attract zombies to you. That's all the mechanic really was. Now they've said in replies on Twitter that they've improved the feature, but we still don't fully know what's going to be changed about it. It's another indicator though, I think, that the Fun Pimps are listening to the older long-term fans who want older features to at least be an option in 7 Days to Die. Even if I myself don't particularly care either way about this feature, I do appreciate the return of an old iconic part of 7 Days to Die's personality as a game being slotted back in. That's always good to see. Additionally, we know that better storms, which is what the last update was supposed to be about, but let's not go there, are going to be coming. We don't know entirely what that means, but they said they would be with unique debuffs, mitigations, and temperature. That last part is particularly good in my opinion. This is yet another 7 Days to Die feature of the past that was removed at nobody's request. I think it's fairly safe to assume that storms are going to be at least more interesting than just damage over time now. This is a pure speculation alert from this point forward in this section. I have to imagine rad storms will probably still just damage you, and smoke storms might like reduce your stamina regeneration. Sandstorms will probably make you use even more hydration, and snowstorms will probably make you move slower and induce starvation. With the re-addition of temperature, we can assume they'll do it similarly to how it used to work, and the storms will be more extreme versions of those effects. I'm most interested in the mitigation that they're talking about. Is it going to be another smoothie incident? I know there's definitely a desire for the return of clothing in 7 Days to Die, but I think what they might be planning, because I faintly remember this being mentioned in a live stream a few months ago, that they are going to be having clothing mods for your armor. So for example, you might get thick wool gloves as a modification for whatever armor gloves you're wearing and things like that. I think that's a fair compromise between spending ages to rework the clothing system and to make it a bit more like the original clothing system in 7 Days to Die. This feature is one of the ones I'm most interested in overall. Additionally, we know of at least 2 new crafting stations, which is a weird name for these, but this is how they will work. The apiary and the chicken coop. The apiary has had its concept art revealed, and you can see it'll have some tools like the campfires and forges do. These will be called the smoker, the extractor, and the hive frame. I have to assume these will increase the yield of the apiary, which produces honey, in case that wasn't obvious. I assume it'll be using the code made for the dew collector to just produce honey, and I suspect that both it and the dew collector will now need to be loaded with jars to function. Otherwise, there'd be jars appearing out of thin air. The other workstation is the chicken coop, which we don't know very much about, but we have to assume it's a dew collector for eggs, basically, which would be really nice if it also produced feathers as well, but I've long said that getting eggs endgame is annoying, so this is a useful thing that I would probably always at least have one of in my base, because I hate hunting birds' nests. We also know that 3.0 is bringing a UI/main menu overhaul, which we don't know too much about, except this jar screenshot shows that either Joel was using a UI mod or this is going to be a concept for the new UI. We don't know for 100% sure, but it's more likely, considering he's on a 3.0 build, that this is an in-development Fun Pimps UI. This UI is quite reminiscent of some of the more popular UI mods for 7 Days to Die, which usually aim to provide more information on the GUI. I honestly don't have much to say about this. I'm fine with the current UI. I think that's an unpopular opinion. I don't mind if it changes. I'm fine with this, but it was never something I really cared about. We also know a new event system is coming, which is very vague, and we also know a new quest type is coming. We don't necessarily know what this quest type is, but I do recall from that same live stream I've been mentioning, they said they wanted to add basically a destroy the POI quest that'll allow you to like demolish a building as part of a quest, which will be really interesting if they mean that one. Alternatively, it could be related to bandits, like there might be a kill the bandits in this area quest that'll be like different from clear technically, which would be technically a new quest type. So that's all quite interesting, I guess. So that's the end of everything they've 100% said is coming in 3.0, but we also know some future features they've mentioned in that past live stream that they didn't necessarily say would 100% be in 3.0, but it was said alongside a bunch of things that were going to be. The first of which is, we know they're interested in adding tier 4 legendary guns, and those can only be looted, which would come after the tier 3 guns like the auto shotgun and the M60. I know fans are clamoring for more weapons in this game, so this could be a great addition. More stuff is usually good. Additionally, we know the Fun Pimps have heard a lot of concerns about customizability and replayability of 7 Days to Die, and they've said they're going to add much more menu options, in particular sliders for ammo and medicine and other independent loot abundance sliders, so that you can really customize how hard certain aspects of your world are. For example, me personally, I'm fine with loot abundance at 100%, but I would really crank down the ammo and medicine abundance because those feel weirdly common. They also voiced desires to detangle the difficulty slider, I guess, so that you can independently decide how tanky the zombies are and how fragile you are. And I actually really love this if they eventually end up doing it, because I feel like hyper lethal zombies are really fun, but tanky zombies are always so dull to fight. And right now you kind of have to choose between all the zombies are complete jokes or all the zombies are complete tanks. In order to have any challenge at all, you kind of have to deal with bullet sponges. So being able to play like Insane Nightmare with super fast, high damage zombies that go down easily would be really satisfying. Just really quickly here, while I was editing this, I realized I'd forgotten another confirmed 3.0 feature, which is the third person camera. That is pretty much confirmed is going to be in 3.0. I think they did originally say they were going to do it as a 2 something update, but maybe that's just been delayed to 3.0 to pad out the feature count maybe, or maybe they're just having trouble with it, I don't know. But that's also like an actual confirmed feature that just completely slipped my mind when recording this. So that's everything they've said, or notably not said, about 3.0. If this was interesting to you, why not check out this video I made on their Blood Moon spin-off? I really want to know, do you think it'll be a disaster? Thanks for watching, and thank you to my members and patrons. As always, I'll see you in the next one.